drunk and we hardly meet for various reasons.
John, you mind?
Yeah.
สวัสดีค่ะคุณทอมค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
Hello everybody
Hello Alberto and Hung
สวัสดีครับคุณนพดล
Hello, Sarah.
Hello
สวัสดีครับ
Han
คุณโจนาธานครับ
Tom and Rev Alberto
ทุกคนสบายดีนะคะ
Yes thank you
สวัส
อาจารย์
ดีครับ
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับอา
All
จารย์ครับ
sabai today.
Shall we start?
Yes. Alberto, do you have any topic you would like to bring up?
Not at the moment, sorry.
You, Tadao, do you
Yes.
have anything, Tadao, you would like to bring up today?
Yeah, Sarah, I have a question. I have a question about the first noble truth. What is the significance of the first noble truth? What does it try to teach us? What should I learn from the first noble truth? That's my question.
Well, I'll give a simple answer and then Jan will give a much deeper discussion. For me, when I read about the first noble truth, I'm reminded that whatever arises in life is insignificant. It's gone. It's not satisfactory in any way. It will never arise again in samsara. So what's the use of clinging to the seeing now, for example, which is gone instantly and is no refuge at all, or what is seen, or what is tasted, or what is touched? Whatever arises, even the moments of understanding, gone immediately. So insignificant because it's just a flash and then gone completely. So I think it helps to teach us that there are just these impermanent dhammas in life, nothing else at all, no one there, nothing that is satisfactory or worth finding so important because it's all gone. So it teaches the value of letting go of the clinging to whatever has arisen.
And I'll just add a brief comment to that. I think it teaches us the unsatisfactoriness of life in samsara, the fact that it's just a continuation of the same thing over and over again, not leading anywhere, and no escape from it without the development of understanding. So it's a pointless exercise. What we value so much is in fact not something to be wished for. Yeah, that's how I'd summarize it.
Okay, thank you.
Therefore, noble truth. For what is the first one? Please. Everyone know by names for noble truth. But are they real? And what is the first noble truth? Not just the name, but to understand the truth of it as noble truth. Ultimate truth. Where are they? Otherwise, it's just the name that is remembered. There are four noble truths. But what is a noble truth? And where is it to know it, to understand it as noble truth? Is that the first noble truth now? Not the name, but the reality. For example, if you're just thinking about the truth, but what is the truth? Is it there now? It's not just learn the word, but just to understand what is there, as whether it's true, stage by stage, until no doubt about the truth of the first noble truth. Where is it? What is it? Otherwise, it cannot be known. So now, is there the noble truth? The first noble truth? We heard about whatever arises falls away instantly. It cannot be directly experienced because what is there now appears. No understanding of the truth that has arisen, not by anyone. And this is the meaning of the absolute truth. No one can make it arise, but it's there. We learn to understand that which is there as it is, and then understand it deeper and deeper, that it's conditioned just to arise, to be there in split seconds and then fall away instantly, never to rise again in samsara, not just only this life. And that is the noble truth. So what is now appearing is there by conditions, because no one can make it arise. It's already there, but no one can experience the moment when it arises and it falls away. But it arises, otherwise there cannot be anything appearing. And as soon as it has arisen by conditions, the condition it to just arise. So it has risen and then it falls away instantly. Is that true? And it's now. We don't have to think of to try to find it somewhere else. But it's here and now. Whatever is there is conditioned to arise just to be there. For example, seeing is seeing, and hearing is not seeing. So hearing is hearing. But what is the truth of seeing and hearing? It's a reality which sees. It is a reality which hears. What is meant by a reality? Because it just arises to hear, or to see, or to think. Whatever is there is conditioned to arise to be just that, and it falls away. No matter what at all, whatever arises falls away now, instantly. Is that true? That's why it's so true that it can be realized, to have a little more understanding of the different reality, which cannot be the same at all. Seeing cannot hear, and hearing cannot see, but seeing experiences that which is seen, and hearing experiences that which heard. And this is life, any moment, even right now. So the absolute truth is that whatever is now appearing, just gone instantly. so very, very rapidly. That's why the arising and falling away of that which arises and falls away so very rapidly, succeeding one another instantly all the time. That's why if there's no understanding of each different one as it's different, it cannot be the same moment and it's not there anymore, because now at moment of hearing, there must be no seeing, because the reality which arises and experiences sound is that very moment, no other thing else at all, only the moment of hearing. The reality which experiencing sound is conditioned to arise and then falls away instantly. So the first noble truth is every moment in life. It's there, unknown, until the realization of the Buddha after his enlightenment. He thought what he had experienced as the truth, so true that it, whatever is there, arises and falls away. But it's so very deep, because now the arising and the falling away of whatever is there is not known at all. That's why learn to understand the truth, to have confidence of the truth. And if there's only just these words, they cannot be letting go of the clinging with ignorance of that which appears, accumulated years and years and years ago, uncountable moments. That's why learn to understand that the truth is there, but it needs to have understanding stage by stage, as from hearing now. If there's no confidence that it is there just in a short moment and then gone, how can there be understanding of the different one which succeeds that moment to be different, like seeing and then hearing and then seeing, then drinking and so on? Is that true? It's there. No, not necessary to look for it in somewhere else. It's right now. So what is now appearing, the truth is that it's there, seen. And what is the truth of it? Can it be something, or can it be only that which impinges on the eye base and is seen and then gone instantly? Only that which impinges on the eye base. That's all. So learn to understand. And this is the way to letting go of the idea of self or something from that which is seen and heard. A moment of experiencing an object succeeds so very rapidly. That's why the arising and falling away of what is there now cannot be known at all, and until there is the understanding of the truth. What is there now? It is a moment of seeing, not a moment of thinking, not a moment of hearing at all. This is the beginning to understand what is true. It's not just belief, but the truth is there now. And it can be studied, it can be learned, the differences of each reality appearing at a time. One is seen, one is heard, one is touched, one is thought about all day in life. If there's no hearing about the truth of life, it does not last at all. Whatever is there is so very short and then gone. Otherwise, it has to be there to be experienced again, but none at all. Whatever is gone, never arise again. Even right now, at this very moment, there's seeing and there's hearing. So it can be the moment of understanding, the different moment, that it is only just one moment of experiencing an object. Is that true? Just understanding, even it's very just intellectual understanding, but it's so true, never change at all. Life is not permanent, and life exists only a moment. So each moment is there, just arise and falls away until the end of life. No more conditions to be this personality or this person at all. New life, like this life, succeeded from last life. Who can remember last life? Or even just yesterday? Can anyone just remember from moment of waking up until falling up or falling asleep? So many realities now by conditions. And Buddha taught the truth of reality from stage to stage to have confidence of that. Whatever is real, it can be known, but it has to be studied to understand first what is it there. For example, seeing. In a day, no thought about it, it sees, it arises to see and it fall away all the time without any understanding or attention to the truth of it, that it's not always there. At moment of thinking, there has to be, it must, that there, at moment of seeing, they cannot be hearing, they cannot be thinking. At moment of thinking right now, see, it can be moment of seeing because it experiences its object, but no understanding of either seeing or thinking or hearing at all. That's why we learn to understand the truth of life. It's so true in each one. And it can be said right now to understand there must be the reality which arises and experiences an object. Otherwise, the world cannot appear as nothing at all. But the reality which is conditioned to experience has to arise because the conditions for its arising to experience, because the reality which experiences an object is a reality. No one can make it arise, but it's there as Dhamma, a reality, conditioned to arise, to be just that reality and then gone, never last at all. Just have confidence of what is there in life. No one can do anything at all. But in the day, without the understanding of the truth, I all the time, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I think, I like, and so on. Where's the I? It's gone. There are only different realities. So the understanding can begin to understand what we take for the world, the universe, and whatever is there. It's only the arising and appearing of that which is experienced, no matter where, anytime. Is that true? And this is the understanding of the First Noble Truth. At the first level, the first stage, pariyatti. But pariyatti cannot be firm enough if there's no understanding at moment when what is there as just one characteristic of the reality, which appears differently. But what makes it different? The arising and falling away of whatever is there. So very rapidly, succeeding one another all the time, covers up the truth. And so there's the idea of what is there as nimitta, the reality, the nimitta of the reality which arises and falls away. So very rapidly, like seeing, it's the nimitta of seeing, because just one moment of seeing cannot be seen or experienced or understood at all, because whatever arises appears as nimitta by way of the process of experiencing another reality. Would have thought about each moment one by one, follow up the next one, and then it's time to understand or to begin to understand just the nimitta of seeing, not a moment of seeing. And this is still the first stage of understanding, intellectual understanding. No doubt about it. Can condition moment of begin to attend to it, think about it, not forget it at any time by conditions. That's why it takes quite a long time, great patience, not to hurry, try to find out or discover the truth, because it depends on understanding stage by stage. The difference between that which experiences an object and the object which is different, which is experienced, they are not the same at all. Different reality, different quality. Is it true in life from moment to moment? Just to have firm confidence of the pariyati, the first stage of hearing, considering, having understanding of the truth, firmer and firmer, no change at all. Life is just like this, anytime, any life, anywhere. So much to learn about the truth of whatever appears is to understand the truth that it's not there all the time. Just when it appears, it's there and then gone. But in truth, even now it is appearing many moments of the nimitta of a reality. Before that can be the nimitta of shape and form as taken to be something. But in truth, just a moment of experiencing an object, only one at a time. So we can think and consider the truth again and again and again by conditions. As for example, what is what? See? Now it's heard. What is what? So what is there? At moment of what is what? Is it true? What is what? Is it a reality? Is it moment of ignorance? Is it moment of clinging to what is what? Just is it true? Is it right to have confidence of the truth? To follow up the truth that it can be directly experienced, but by way of nimitta, not just one moment of one characteristic of reality. So it is Ariya Satya, because what is there is real, and we use the term Dhamma for whatever is real. It has its characteristic to be known that it's real, like seeing now is real, and that which is seen is real because of its characteristic appear now to be known. But it has to be no one there and nothing there in the absolute truth. The experiencing of an object arises just to experience only. It cannot like, it cannot dislike. It arises to experience the object, one characteristic. And we use the word chitta, the chief of experiencing now. What is there? Unknown until we talk about it, beginning to know that the reality which experiences the object is not that which appears, which is seen. Just is it true? It's the truth. It's Dhamma. The truth of it is that it's conditioned to arise and then gone. But it's not the Ariya Satya yet, even it's Satya Dhamma, because it has to be moment of realize the truth of that which is dukkha, that which is there and then falls away instantly, no one at all, only that reality. So why have it arising and falling away non-stop? And who knows what conditions that moment to be, different kind of feeling, attachment, aversion, clinging, or disliking, ego, and so on. What are there in life? So true, but it just arises and falls away in succession, non-stop, until the end of being this person. It's the moment of the reality which experiences ended up, no more experiencing what is there in this life, but the new life begins again. Like this life, from last life, without last life, there cannot be this life. That's why we learn about the truth of a reality, the conditions for its arising to be different ones. To understand the truth of life until it can directly understand what is there that we have talked about right now, little by little, to understand that there is no one, but there are moments of experiencing an object at a time. That's all. Is that true? Can there be moment of attending to seeing that it's not that the object which is seen? Otherwise, it's I see. When there's not enough understanding of the truth that Buddha had enlightened and taught the way to realize the truth as he had realized. Just listening to understand what is there and life. Naturally, normally, if it's as normal, can it be understanding of any Dhamma? And this is pariyatti that can develop to understand about each reality a little more, until it appears a little clearer, because there is direct awareness of a reality at a time. If there's no awareness with right understanding of a reality right now at a time, how can it realize the truth of it? That this is not that. There's seeing and then hearing, see? If there's no understanding of seeing, how can there be the understanding that it's not permanent? Because that at the moment it's not seeing, it's hearing or thinking. So that is the anicca, not permanent. So what for? No one there at all. It's only the reality keeps on arising and falling away by conditions. But they are different, like feeling sad or pleasant and so on. And when there's no one at all there, it's I all the time, whatever is there, no one else, because it's the reality which experiences the object. So the feeling appears there. The feeling is so pleasant, also very sad. It's me at that moment because it's there as a characteristic which appears as it is. But no understanding that it's just a feeling, a reality which arises and experiences the object together with that which is the chief of experiencing, but it does not perform that function because it feels towards that object which is experienced. Or the other reality, it remembers, it marks the object. And attachment is another reality. So we learn about what are there in life in order to understand that actually even that moment of feeling or attachment. It's no one at all. The truth can be realized, but only through understanding. Without understanding, how can there be the understanding of the truth of what is said now? No need to look for it at a place, at the time, or somewhere else. It's right now. And that is the subtlety of all dhammas, which arises and falls in split seconds, or split seconds of split seconds. Is it true? The first Ariya Satya.
Yeah. As far as I understand, there are three types of dukkha. The first one is dukkha dukkha. The second one is viparinama dukkha. And the third one is sankhara dukkha. I do not clearly understand the difference between the second type of dukkha and third type of dukkha.
Usually one clings to the object and there is attachment with the pleasant feeling, different from the unpleasant feeling, different from dukkha dukkha. Because there is not just only dukkha dukkha, a kind of feeling, no matter it's mental or bodily, but the moment of clinging itself. And when it's not there anymore, what is there? Dukkha, cling to it, wishing, wanting, hoping to have it again, or not at all. Because we talk about different kinds of feeling too, when we talk about the three kinds of dukkha. The first one is known when it's dukkha, bodily or mentally, right? But what about the second one? The somanassa, opposite of dukkha, dukkha. It's dukkha as well, because it's not permanent. So it's when it's just changed or gone, it's dukkha, right? Without that pleasant feeling again, one dream for it, try to have it arise again. At moment of trying, it's not dukkha. Another kind of dukkha, which is not dukkha dukkha. Because when dukkha dukkha appear, everyone knows, but cling to it as it's me, it's mine. And what about somanassa? There's cling to that too. So when it's gone, another kind of dukkha, see, losing the dear one, or so on, or something. That's why even somanassa is dukkha, because it's not permanent.
But is it not viparinama dukkha?
At this moment, is that dukkha dukkha?
No, when I hear dukkha dukkha, yeah, I immediately think about pain. Pain is dukkha dukkha. But when there is somanassa, then somehow I mentally think that it's a type of dukkha because it changes. In that sense, so even somanassa is dukkha. And I think it's a type of viparinama dukkha. Is it not true?
Because you see that we have to understand the three kinds of dukkha as it should. absolute truth. Dukkha is a painful feeling or mental unpleasant feeling, right? Everyone knows, no doubt about that. But the dukkha of the attachment or pleasant feeling at that moment, who knows that it's dukkha? Right?
Yeah.
It's so pleasant, but in truth, it's dukkha by way of sankhara dukkha, and even the dukkha is also sankhara dukkha. That's why it ends up with all dhammas are dukkha.
Yeah.
So at moment of pleasant feeling, who knows that it's dukkha? And
Yeah, usually we do not think it's dukkha.
And by way of feeling, it indicates the different feeling as dukkha. The upekha is sankhara dukkha as well.
Yeah.
Comes to the truth, sankhara dukkha.
Yeah. Can we say that everything, every dukkha is included in the category of sankhara dukkha?
That's why understanding all dhammas, all conditioned dhammas are dukkha. Because they are conditioned to arise and then fall away. Just to understand different moments in life, to see the danger of dukkha. It's not just about to understand what is dukkha, but to see the danger of dukkha. Stage by stage, from hearing, considering, and then direct understanding of a reality until that one appears as it is, stage by stage, to indicate the dukkha clearer and clearer.
Yeah.
See, but as long as whatever appears now rises and falls, we're not known yet. No dukkha.
Yeah.
That's why learning to understand, no matter it's pleasant or unpleasant or indifferent feeling, all of them are dukkha. Everything, every conditioned reality is dukkha because it arises and falls away. What for?
Yeah.
That is the beginning to understand the truth of life. But it's not strong enough yet because it's just hearing, considering about the truth. But what about the moment when it's there? As long as it's known, no understanding of the danger of dukkha, of all kinds of reality.
Yeah. Because of our ignorance, we cannot see dukkha as dukkha.
That's why no matter what is heard from the teachings of the Buddhas, so very deep, very subtle, it takes time to consider again and again and again and again in all aspects in order to have clear understanding, even intellectually. But it's conditional for the moment of understanding instantly of what is there. And that moment is not now because it has to be other reality, the sati with sampajanya, right understanding. As we have heard before, as the foundation to understand what is there any moment by conditions. That's why it's joyful to understand the truth. No one, no thing to be done. Only understanding what is there, little by little, seeing the benefit, the precious moment of begin to understand the truth of what is there, even it's so very little, but it's so true that it can be followed up to realize the truth. And that is the fourth of the Four Noble Truths. So very subtle because it's right now. Only right understanding from hearing, considering, condition, the truth to be known stage by stage. So life goes on naturally, as usual, normally, because of understanding that even attachment is there by conditions, but it's gone. Never last at all. At moment of thinking, it's different from moment of seeing. Instead of enjoying life so much as before, it's moment of understanding that at moment when the feeling is so pleasant, it's there, show up as it's a moment, only a moment of pleasant feeling. And then it's gone. The understanding is that it's not permanent, cannot harm anyone at all. At moment of understanding it as it is. Just different realities in life, in split seconds. Just is a true, firm confidence of right understanding of the truth.
And can we say that Satipatthana is the only way to see dukkha as dukkha?
But if we don't know what sati is, can it be satipatthana? Or sati as no one there at all?
No.
If there's not enough understanding of the truth, one goes wrong because of ignorance and attachment, wrong understanding. Always there, even right now, Titasava, Avijjasava, so satya is truthfulness.
Yeah. Even satya is not easy to understand, but I interpret as a sincerity.
It doesn't matter at all as long as it's thinking, right? One can think many ways, in many ways, a lot about something, this or that. But what about what is there at that very moment? Is covered up.
Yeah.
That's why from hearing, considering, and understanding, one can see enormous ignorance, cannot imagine. It's so very sticky and it's there in the citta. So how can it is taken out or erase it or wash it away little by little? By understanding, be true to the truth of what is there as it is, little by little. So one knows what has to be known in order to have less attachment, and ignorance has to be the understanding of what is there in life, not by anyone, but by conditions. Hearing, listening carefully until it's right, not wrong, understanding.
Yeah.
So when one sees the value or the precious moment of understanding the truth of what is there now, just live to understand Dhamma and share Dhamma to the others.
Yeah, yeah.
As Dhamma, not me or I or anyone at all.
Yeah.
Until the Four Noble Truth is realized.
And to realize Arya Satya, is it good enough to develop sati and panya in daily life?
Good, but it's
Because I cannot think any other way. Only way to realize Arya Satya is developing sati and panya in daily life. But
what
do we need not to worry about anything else?
again but what about living each life, each world blindly, no understanding of the truth of whatever is there at all, and begin to see or to understand what is there in darkness of ignorance.
Yeah, full of ignorance.
Understand what is there in the world so dark with ignorance, not understanding the truth of anything at all from life to life. And then there can be a moment of hearing about the truth, considered carefully, that is so true, firmly, little by little, to understand what is there in life which appears now by conditions. Firstly, it has to be hearing, considering what is heard. It's word of truth, because it's about the truth of what is there now as it is. So what happens, right understand that it's there to be known, that it's there already, not by anyone, and it's gone. And that other moment, another reality, each different ones in life can be known, not by ignorance, but by hearing it and understanding the truth of it. It's so real when it's there, because it's there. And then it is not there. Memory, just remember thinking about it as it's there. Blindly. Darkness. So deep down, darkness covered up with whatever appears, but no understanding of any what of that which appears at all. And this is the path, because it has to be right understanding samadhi to begin to understand what is there little by little with other factors, different cetasikas together. That's why we learn more about what is there now, not just seeing or that which is seen, But who knows, without the teachings of the Buddha about the mental factors, another reality which arises to experience the object different from that which is the chief, but arising together, experience the same object, but with different characteristics and function. No one there at all. Who knows that at this moment of seeing, feeling is there too, towards the object which is seen. So where's the I? They are different realities, conditioned by many conditions from moment to moment, and gone. Sunyata. Nothing is left after it has gone. Another reality is conditioned to appear on and on and on, endlessly, as long as there are conditions for whatever arises, it has to arise.
Yeah.
I think the point to Dao on your question about is it enough to develop sati and panya? Actually, there's only this moment and there's only one way, which is the development of understanding with awareness and the other path factors. But when there's an idea, lurking idea that maybe there's something else, it's the lurking idea of self because it hasn't been eradicated. So there's always that lurking thought, maybe there should be some other way. But actually, as the Buddha taught, there's just one way, no one that can do anything at all. And it has to be this moment because there's no other moment. So as you say, it's just the development of understanding. And it has to be in daily life because it's always daily life, no matter where or what or when. It's always back to this moment.
Yeah. Like last week, yeah, Jyotika was talking about the development of kusala. And I myself know that I'm not good at developing kusala. I care about satipatthana, but my development of other type of kusala is not good. So it worries me a bit. And I know that it's self, but
Right, because when there's worrying, what's the reality? No
Yeah.
kusala at the moment. So what's the point of worrying, wasting time and energy? But it's by conditions too. And the clinging to the idea of it as my kusala that's good or bad, or my kusala that's developing or not, is so strongly rooted that actually no kusala that belongs to you or anyone else. Who knows at the next moment now whether the citta will be kusala or akusala. So instead of thinking about it or worrying about it, there can just be understanding of what appears, and it conditions all kinds of kusala naturally, but not by trying to have it or worrying about it. Like Ajahn said, when understanding develops, there's more appreciation of the benefit of sharing what is so precious with others. That's kusala too. Or showing kindness or sympathy for others when there's no understanding. It's kusala too. So just naturally, rather than wishing or trying to have it, is the way.
yeah.
And when panya is so weak, it's almost inconceivable that it could develop to the strength where it could eradicate defilements and attain enlightenment. But this is where the patience and confidence comes in, because if without that one is tempted to look for some other way to develop understanding other than naturally in daily life. But we are fortunate that to have the understanding that what is the condition for any level of awareness and understanding now, however weak it may be, is the condition for that panya to develop little by little, and just to accept that it does take an awful long time. Jira, Kala, Bhavana, and with that understanding and confidence, then one is not really tempted to follow other people's example and engage in some kind of practice.
Yeah, you are right.
To Dao, I'd just like to add just a couple of small points there too, is that firstly, there's no real obstacles. You know, we can think about obstacles. The only real obstacle is our lack of understanding of this present moment. That's the only and the understanding about non-self that truly has to be appreciated in the beginning. You know, as Tanajan said, time and time and time again, listen again and again and again and again. These are some of the conditions that will help understanding to grow. So it is, as Jonathan's just said, Jira, Kala, Bhawana, as Jan and Sarah just mentioned the other day. Jira just means long. Kala, as you know, is time. And Bhawana, you know. So it's long time development that is needed. And it will be long because understanding, as Jonathan has just alluded to, is weak. And we're probably talking about, you know, immeasurable amounts of time. And that's just the nature of it. There's no way around to make it quicker because there are not conditions for that. So it does take time. But I was just, and I want to add, perhaps thirdly, is that I've really appreciated your questions because listening to Tanajan is such a blessing and such a wonderful support and foundation for all of us. So, you know, thank you so much for all your questions and considerings. I know that I'm sure other people value them also.
Yeah, I understand the nature of Sila Kala Bhavana because even Bodhisattva Smeda had to listen to Dhamma teachings from 24 Samma Sambuddhas. So it's a Sila Kala Bhavana. It really takes a long time to attain realization.
Yes, certainly, you know, it's unimaginable periods of time, as you've just alluded to, unimaginable. As you said, from Dipankara, who gave the, it was called the Vivattara, it's Niyati Vivarana, the Niyati Vivarana that's given to all, or must be given to all bodhisattvas. You know, that's the fixed the fixed realization or the fixed allowance that yes, this will happen in so many hundreds of thousands of years when this Niyata Vivarana is given by a Buddha, and only a Buddha can give that yes, you will, that revelation in a way. It's a revelation, an opening up of the potential that you will become a Buddha. And then that is just the beginning, because those people on top of that have to be exceptionally wise people. For a start, they have had, as Sumaidha, as Gautama in many thousands of previous lives, he was very, very, very wise. He could have become an arahata. He had developed jhana, so he was a jhana labhi, as well as the potential for being enlightened. So on top of that, as we know, the Buddhas have to develop for, what's called, it's an incredible period. It's called 4 asankhya's. Asankhya literally means immeasurable period of time. And then on top of that, 100,000 kappas, which is, well, also immeasurable and unimaginable. So it's a long time. And as Jonathan has just mentioned, that Chira Kala Bhavana, well, that's just, again, it's a long time. That and the jhana always lose the patience. Sometimes you were saying there before about having obstacles. Well, at the moment we know, and I think we all have those moments. The obstacle, of course, is lack of appreciation of Dhamma, that it takes a long time and patience is needed. So patience will always be a valuable asset and allow understanding to grow. And as Jan also, she asked a really good question, I thought, earlier on there too, about there has to be the understanding of what sati and panya are all about, and careful consideration of these. People will just say, oh yes, satipatthana, I know about satipatthana. But the question then would be asked, well, does that person understand the nature of satipatthana and what is needed for the development of satipatthana? Yes, well, sati is needed. That is true. It's obvious because sati is kusala. But that has to be understood in the context of panya, or together, how they can gradually eradicate ignorance. And so we have to listen carefully, or so this listening needs to be careful and well considered to enable sati along with panya to grow. Not just anybody says, because as Tanajan often says, they're just words, ultimately, sati and panya. Well, anybody can say them. But what is the full import or the full appreciation? And that's just the beginning, as you know. That's just that is what pariyatti is all about. The pariyatti understanding of what sati and panya represent. So how can they be understood properly in the development of understanding? And that is a long purpose, and this is what we do when we listen to Tanajan. We're very fortunate, very, very fortunate to hear such a wise person remind us again and again and again, and in her incredibly articulate and lucid way, very clever way, very insightful way. Well, I think we're just so fortunate. So thanks again. I was going to say Jetananda, but Shadal. Thank you again so much for asking your questions. They're much valued and appreciated.
Yeah, development of sati and panya is not easy at all, because as for Sotapatti Angaya, the fourth anga or fourth factor is Dhamma Patipatti.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not clear because of our ignorance. It doesn't appear as it should be.
Well, that's true, because so Jonathan has alluded to, our ignorance is so vast and so broad and so wide. So therefore, but when we consider that first one, Dhamma, Patipada. Well, let's look at that a little more carefully. Again, it is just a word, ultimately. And unfortunately, it's easy to misunderstand. So it must be understood in the context of the previous three. There is a bond or a link between them all, and a connection, sort of like a nexus, if you like, between them all. And if that first one, the Sapurisa Samsewo, the connection with the wise person, hasn't been established, then the others won't follow. It's like the Neighbour Eightfold Path in a way. So unless that first one is there, and then there is the accumulation, we could even say there is something preceding that. Unless there's the accumulations to acknowledge and appreciate that wise person, that Sapurisa, then that will be difficult, impossible to develop. And then on top of that, there must be the Saddhamma Savanam, the attending, the sawana, or the listening to the good Dhamma, the Saddhamma. Unless there's that attending carefully to what is said by the Sapurisa, and then, of course, we move to the third one, which is the Yoniso Manasikara, which must be based on the other two. So it's a kind of a tricky path in a way, because all these different conditions, and we know everything is just conditioned, everything has to be just right to enable understanding to grow. But unless there's the accumulations, unless there's the connection with the Sapurisa, and unless there's the savanam, that's where we get the word sawaka, the listener, the listening, then that will enable, Ande to truly become the Arya Sawaka, who have listened and listened and listened. And, of course, they must have considered carefully. And then that will facilitate the Dhamma, the following Dhamma according to Dhamma, not according to your idea, but according to Dhamma, how it is and how it appears at this moment. So easy to overlook. So ultimately those Sotapati Anga, which actually the word Anga just represents the English word angle, those four angles or those four perspectives, if they are not understood, not just in terms of, the Pali or how they're configured, but what they truly represent, the Dhammas that they truly represent. And if that's not understood, then understanding won't happen. It won't happen. So there has to be appreciation of Dhamma as conditioned for a start, and then the wise, careful consideration. If those things aren't there, then, well then.
Yeah, I think these four factors are very much circular. We proceed from the first factor, and then we reach the fourth factor, and then we start again from the first factor.
Mm-hmm.
So factors are very much circular.
Yeah, I really appreciate, you seeing it that way, because I think it's true. It's a good, I hadn't thought about it like that being circular, but I believe they are. Now that you speak to that, and it must be so. It must be so. Unless there's again and again the careful attending and attention to what the Sapurisa is saying about the Saddhamma, which enables the Yoniso Manasikara, then, and which will, of course, if there is the correct pariyatti, then that will enable the Dhamma Patipada. And then again, and again, and again, again, going back, as you said, in a circle to the beginning, attending to the wise person, and so on. And if that's not established, then the whole circuitry, in a way, will collapse. Because we know there are some people who listen, perhaps once or twice, and because there are not the right conditions, they're not the right accumulations, they fall off. And they go another direction because of other accumulations. So we can see that there is, a delicate balance and a delicate understanding that needs to grow. And, in that very, 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 very tender stage, which most of us are at, we can just see the tiny shoot on that tree in springtime. Perhaps we might have just felt that little bump that appears on the twigs of trees that will show that the blossoms are about to come. But that takes time, and that's perhaps not such a good analogy because, springtime happens all the time. But understanding, well, that's another matter.
Yeah, also our past karma plays a big role, because without our past accumulation of good karmas, we would never have encountered this opportunity of listening to right teachings.
Yeah, we can say that. And also that there is kusala when we attend to the Dhamma. We can say that, that's one of the kusala kamapattas, the ditthujjika, correcting your views. That is kusala too, which will support more and more kusala at that level. So at the level of panya. So it's an ongoing thing, and kusala supports kusala, as we know, by asevanapacchaya, repetition. The more you do it, the more it's done. The more it's done, the more it's done. So that habitual, actually the word habit in English just relates the word to have. To have that habitual behavior of attending wisely to the Dhamma which appears even now, then there can be more conditions for it. And down the track, because of those accumulated levels of panya, that can support more conditions. So it's behavior, essentially. Behavior. It's literally mean behavior actually relates, and sometimes Ajahn speaks this too, because that's ultimately what sila bhatta paramasa means. Means sila, or behavior in the sense, not necessarily relating to the those silas, which the pancha sila, for example, the dasa sila, or whatever sila you want to talk about, but it's about the behavior of chitta. And if it's wrong behavior or unhelpful behavior, paramasa, the clinging, then that will get in the way again. So again, there are all sorts of conditions that need to be established. That's important. So yes, there is the present, because the present can support the future, or the present will support the future by way of many different conditions. Sometimes there's just so many different conditions that are appearing or that are arising and falling away to support the next moment.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
No, well, thank you to yourself, Tadao. I appreciate your questions, and perhaps a good time now, and I'd love Ajahn to continue on. Jun Cup.
Is there anything else that we'd like to talk about? Or on what subject?
Well, I appreciate your invitation, Tanajan. I always appreciate whatever you talk about in relationship to Dhamma, because I know it will always be valuable. And I've found it's been very, very, very helpful. What Tadeu's questioning and your answers, because they're such good reminders. Perhaps what I would like to ask, because Sarah spoke to a little bit, but I would like to hear also this aspect of Tadeu's question, which was like, we often are fearful of not hearing the Dhamma or not being able to attend wisely to the Dhamma. What would you say to somebody who is perhaps somewhat anxious because of their feeling of perhaps fragility in the Dhamma, and perhaps not being able as much as is possible for them to develop more understanding?
I think that there are so many realities that has to be learned. I think that if we read the book about the teachings of the Buddha, there can be a little more understanding by considering the deep meaning of reality which he taught.
Cup.
Not our own thought, but what about his word, about the truth? In 45 years, in all aspects, to condition from understanding and confidence of the truth. Because just talk about the word, that's not enough. For example, we heard a lot about sati, but what is sati? And is it there now? Not the word. And can it appear? And when it appears? When it can appear. Because it does not appear now. So what Buddha taught about can be learned to understand a little more, until it's so firm that it can condition the moment of satipatthana, as we have heard. Without understanding, can it be satipatthana? And without understanding the characteristic of sati, can we say by oneself, having sati at such and such time? That's why I think that the understanding of the truth can condition moment of realizing that from the beginning of life to the end, without understanding the truth of what is there, one just speaks on and on about that which is not known as it is. Can anyone imagine the moment when there is satipatthana, or understanding the truth of what is there? And when there's no direct understanding, awareness, with awareness, how can it be known? It's just only the word.
So we need more than the word, Tanajan.
Yes. For example, hardness, see, it's there almost all the time, right? No matter what, sitting, moving, and so on. But no thought about the truth of it at all. Even about it's just a reality and it's hard. But why not condition? Why not understanding it when it's there? See, just hearing, considering, beginning to understand it. That's why that is not enough. And to learn more about each word of the teachings of the Buddha, about whatever is there in a day. Because so many realities are there, unknown, and we don't talk about it. But when it's there, how can there be the understanding of it if we don't talk about it before? It's different. That's why Buddha taught for 45 years of all kinds of reality in daily life to be known. For example, the person who say Satipatthana, develops Satipatthana or Patipatti, is there any understanding of Sati and Satipatthana?
No, there may not be, Tanajan.
That's right. Learn to understand what moment Sati is there and what moment Sati is not there. No condition for its arising, so it cannot arise. Even one can understand the difference between moment of kusala and moment of akusala, and how many cetasikas are there at moment of akusala and at moment of kusala. It's just the word about reality, but the understanding of the different stage of understanding intellectually or directly is different. That's why there cannot be any just patipatti without understanding what is there so firm. So it's there, and without the moment of attending or being aware of it, how can it appear as it is, as the truth of what we have learned? That's why one begins to understand clearly. It's impossible to try to be aware or try to understand what is there without intellectual understanding so firm. Kira sanya. Even right now, just understanding a reality at a time can lead to understand what is there as it is. Is this moment kusala or akusala? See,
It's a good question, Tanajan. Mostly akusala.
that's why, first of all, the understanding of the reality as that which experiences an object has to be known firmly to let go the idea of self and ignorance. Otherwise, what is there? See, we talk about the reality which experiences an object. But when the object does not appear or is not thought about, what is there? See, no word, because no understanding. But is it the reality which is there, experiencing an object? While the object does not appear, it appears, but no understanding of it, that it's there. That's why it has to be firm understanding of the reality, which doesn't have any form or shape or color or smell at all. It just experiences. And when the object which is experienced does not appear. It is there, but no understanding of it. Otherwise, what is there? That's why we have to understand more about the reality, the nature of that which arises and experiences without shape and form, and that which arises but cannot experience anything, to understand their nature as it is, just one characteristic at a time. That's why there is the word nama and rupa parichetayana. It begins from hearing, considering by conditions, gradually, little by little, but it's not clear yet until it appears at that stage as it what we have learned. No doubt about it, little by little. But as long as the reality does not appear, does not show up, pop up, to be known as it's no one, there cannot be moment of letting go the idea of self permanently. It's just the right idea, right understanding of what is there as it is. Now, but the word, the reality which experiences the object and the object which is experienced in a moment. That's what we heard, that's what we know, and that is what we understand. But that moment does not show up yet. But it's there as it is. That's why to be truthful, a satya to the truth. Nobody can change it, it's there. But right understanding is not strong and sharp enough to understand the truth of it. But it develops gradually, very gradually, compared to the accumulation of ignorance and attachment which covers up the truth. It takes quite a long time. And that kind of understanding, letting go, wishing, hoping, wanting to experience it by different other ways, because without right understanding, the truth cannot be known at all. Is there such a paramina to the truth?
A lot of attachment, Tanajan.
That's why right understanding understand the meaning of parami, or the truth of whatever is there, stage by stage. And Panya now is working its way gradually out of wise considering.
Kokunakap, Tanajan.
Shara and Kunjaravan, do you have something to say?
I was just going to make a comment that it is the point I was discussing with Tadao, that when there is doubt about whether it is the one way and whether something else should be done, it is a lurking idea of I. And it's the same when there is the wishing or hoping or wanting to experience by any way. This is what hinders the development of understanding of just what appears now.
Yes.
And some people think that, oh, it's the others have just a lot of kusala developed. A friend on the list said, oh, we may not have the tendencies for harmful behavior. But what about the ignorance now? What about when one speaks impatiently, for example, or when one's irritated by what the other says. It's just daily life, just different realities. And the more understanding develops, the more confidence there is that it's just about what appears now, not about what one says, not about all the stories about realities and all the words, but just understanding at this very moment, very naturally, without any thought of wishing for anything else or trying any other way. So the confidence develops with the understanding about what life is now, and that is the Satya Parami.
Yeah.
Yes, I just add quickly that I think the first thing one comes to realize after a time of studying the Dhamma with Ajahn is how little kusala there is generally, and in particular kusala of the level of understanding, and how much akusala there is. So that's the first thing we come to accept. But the next thing is also important, and that is how slowly the understanding develops, and kusala generally for that matter. Because there's a temptation, it's tempting to think that once one realizes how much kusala there is, that it can somehow be dealt with in a way and there'll be much less of it and so forth. But no, that's not the case. The reason why there's so much is that's the accumulated tendency. And the reason why there's so little understanding developed is that that's the accumulated tendency. And so coming to terms with the task ahead and how long it's going to take is the second thing that takes a while to accept. But that's what we've been discussing today, and I know Dao, you do get the point, so that's great.
We'll see everyone next week. So Sawadika Ajahn.
Thank you very much.
Sawadee.